Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
He's got his specs on. You're looking very studious there.
Sorry, mate. I was just going over my notes for today's show. Yes, we do have notes, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I do anyway. Anyway, look at this. Clark Kent and
Super Gran.
Ooh. Wish I hadn't done that now.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Anyway,
off to a great start, mate. I'll tell you what. Here's a cheers to Budget Superman.
There we go.
Cheers. Nice to see
you. There you go, mate. Good to see you, pal. Talking of which,
yes,
it's only been a week, but it always feels longer. Always feels longer, buddy.
Well, I guess that's because we've been so massively busy the past sort of few weeks. It's although we are still only a week in between on our chats, it's the amount of stuff we're doing in between makes it feel like longer, I guess.
Yeah. Talking of which, what have you been doing in between?
Well, a lot since I last spoke. So I've been very, very busy with immersive theatre over the past week. So 3 shows, which, it's only one every other day or so, but it's the sort of planning that goes into it. The travelling, as you know, is the heavily demanding part of it. And we've also had a couple of them have been quite niche, quite unique due to venues and requirements from the audience or from the scenario. So we've had to do a bit of adapting and changing here and there just to make sure that it runs smoothly and fits the bill that we're targeting. So it's been quite a heavy week with out and about on immersive shows. And also, mate, I've had my panto script through.
Yes, get it.
I have. Oh, no, you haven't. Yes, you have.
Sorry, bit slow there. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought you might jump on that one, but never mind. No, so I've had my script. I've been reading through my script and getting incredibly excited that Panto is starting in less than a month for me.
I know.
It's real exciting stuff. So bit of script reading, but lots and lots of immersive theatre. What about yourself?
Catching up, really. Not an awful lot, which I'm quite grateful for. So I can catch up on some sleep. I can catch up on some paperwork and some admin after the pumpkin event. If people don't know what we're talking about, that's what I've been able to relax from. But I've got a little short film filming next week. So I've started looking at the lines for Stranger Danger, this little sort of dark, it's quite a dark little thriller. It's quite nice with a very surprising ending. So I'm looking forward to shooting that. It's going to be quite good fun. But other than that, quite quiet, which I'm not sorry for. But I've done a little bit of therapeutic cooking. So we did have some pumpkins left over. So I've been creating a few or looking up on the internet and getting a few pumpkin recipes. So I've been cooking pumpkin soup and spiced pumpkin and even roasting the seeds as a little snack. So I've got quite creative, quite pleased with myself. Yeah. So that's been my week.
I have to say, mate, that we obviously had amazing guests on last week, Anthony and Emma from the production team of The Truth Stops Here, brand new musical. Go see it in January, everyone. 6-7
absolutely
at the Isha Theatre. But because we had them on, we didn't actually have chance to chat to you properly post pumpkin event. So why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown about what was going? Because we did get to chat about it and you explained what it was, but we haven't had an opportunity really to go back over and find out just how it went and what actually was involved. So I thought it'd be nice to find out that, mate.
Well, as we promised everyone a little while ago that we were going to do some behind the scenes shooting and footage and recording, I did manage to do a little bit of that.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, and we were a little bit affected by, if anybody was out and about over Halloween, they might have noticed a little bit of wind, a little bit of rain.
Just a tad.
But so we were a little weather affected. It didn't dampen, if you pardon the pun, didn't dampen any of the fun. But there are moments of some of the footage that I will talk you through, so that you're not completely blown away by the wind. But there are odd occasions where I will take you over to me live, actually on scene. We couldn't have a pumpkin carving event without pumpkins. Pretty obvious, really. So on a very, very windy Wednesday morning, our pumpkins arrived from Lincolnshire on the back of a lorry, ordered in bulk, unlike last year where we sourced them individually. Well, not individually, but in loads from local stores. So this made things a lot easier. However, they arrived and there we were looking at 400 pumpkins ready to move to the pumpkin store. It took about 3 hours, but 3 hours later, there they were in and ready to carve. Over to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, the pumpkins are in. There we are. That's just over 300 pumpkins swinging past the doorway, and we have another 50 odd there. The room is looking rather bare at the moment, and we're in the process of decorating, putting tables together and prettying the venue up. This will be the pumpkin shack where they come and choose their pumpkin, and then they will take it outside, which is very bare at the moment. But tomorrow there will be gazebos and tables. That is all for now. It is now 8:30 on Friday morning, and I'm going to take you on a little trip round the Wizard's Wacky Walk. So there he is, one of our skulls nestling in the grass. And there she is, a little witch in the corner. And here we go for a little walk down with skeletons and skulls. And yesterday's job was to decorate. So we have spent... Here we are. We've spent our time out here, normally the children's playground, but we have some ghosts floating in the trees, glittering witches' hats, and through the woods we go. The object of this is the children have to solve a puzzle. How many spiders are in the spider's jar? And if they count up the things they have to find on their list, so how many skeletons and skulls with flashing eyes are there? How many gravestones can they find? And how many spiders in their webs? Add those all up and they come to the total number of spiders in the spider jar. And in a moment I'm going to go and hide the spider's jar, or hang the spider jar, so that people can see and try and count before exploring the Wizard's Wacky Wood. And I shall be the Wacky Wizard in charge of my Wacky Wood. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here I am, fully dressed, fully bewigged as the Wacky Wizard of Watermill Wood. And my little friend in the background there, my little creepy friend. We've had a wonderful morning. We've had hundreds of people through. They've been walking in my wood, been carving their pumpkins, and we are now into the afternoon session of our first day of pumpkin carving. More to come. I have to say, I think I was feeling a little ghost-like by the end of 3 or 4 14-hour days, but we had enormous fun. The wood was looking great. We hung and decorated everything around the wood, and the children went off with the grown-ups to hunt the things down. It was, shall we say, affected occasionally by the weather. We did have a couple of mornings of rain, but we were able to keep going, and it didn't dampen people's spirits at all. They carved their pumpkins, they placed their pumpkins down outside the pumpkin shack, and then off they went on the Wacky Wizard's Trail. So they went down in a dip, and there were ghosts hanging in the trees, hanging around the walls. We had some pretty bunting around as well to make it not so totally scary. It got a little bit boggy in places, so there was lots of squelching and splashing around, lots and lots and lots of laughter. It really was great fun. It only really added to the fun. And the children went away with a carved pumpkin, activity sheets, pumpkin stickers, and a big smile on their faces. So that's the end of my little pumpkin event for this year.
Thanks, mate, for that lovely little insight into what goes on in the world of the pumpkin carving event. Just another lovely little kind of view for our listeners, watchers, subscribers into the extra jobs or the supplementary bits that are outside of your kind of filming or theatrical productions or immersive shows that all add up to having a rounded career and keeping busy all the time. I think it's a real good show for that. And actually an excellent example of how different times of the year are very different for us within the industry and within our careers, how we have to, I guess, adapt to what people are doing during certain seasons or certain times. So I think it's quite an interesting way to look at it if you take it that way.
Well, I think you're right, because it the time of year and the season and the weather really does sort of dictate the the work that is possible to do and b the work that is available. I mean, obviously, that the Halloween, the pumpkin carving thing, that's become quite big. I'm quite surprised at how it's over the past, I don't know, about 5, maybe a little bit longer years. We've really latched onto it in this country, and it's become a big, almost a holiday celebration. And the demand for performances and events, and then actors to work on those events. The Halloween thing is, we employed 2 actors to dress up as scarecrows and facilitate and perform during the event. So they were, showing people to where the pumpkins were, and they were playing out characters. So it fleshed out the event and gave it a real sort of characterization. And what's I'm trying to word something? It's atmosphere. That's the word. So it gave it a good atmosphere. That was tricky, but it's the same thing happens. I mean, we know now that you and I are going into pantomime season, but so many other things have grown up around that the season as well, haven't they?
I mean, from Christmas grottos, obviously that's a huge thing this time of year. And if we have any younger listeners out there, obviously Santa can't be in multiple places at once, so he has assistants who dress like him to help him carry out his duties, because he can't be everywhere all in one go.
That's right.
And that's quite often offered out or cast out to actors who are able to embody the spirit of Santa Claus. But beyond that, you've got the elves in the grottos and things like that. And then you've got, quite popular now, is door-to-door sort of visits from elves and things. And they've become really kind of, particularly during times where we had the unwelcome guest, meaning we couldn't leave. I mean, obviously it's around now, but we're no longer locked down. I think it became a massive thing because it enabled people to still do things for their kids, still have exciting events and things that made them smile and enjoy the holiday season, but still within the constraints that we were under at the time. But as you say, there's so many other things that go on, particularly in this season, in the winter and Christmas season.
I think the door-to-door elves thing is amazing, because that's a testament to when we were under the constraints of the unwelcome guest. Actors going, I know, I'll. So people became, inventive and to give themselves work. But you look at the casting sites at this time of year and see that, Panto usually casts a little bit earlier in the year, and then there's a little bit of catch-up casting. But now you look at the proliferation. There's Santas being, elves and their helpers. There's masses of casting for that, and it's well paid as well. That's the other thing. That isn't. No, I'm not just sort of counting the pennies, but it is a consideration at this time of year when everyone's trying to get some work to carry them through the Christmas season or the pantomime season. But also it's interesting.
It's twofold, isn't it? Because you can look at it in the way that it's Christmas, which is quite an expensive time of year for everyone if you're buying gifts or having parties or doing events. But also on the flip side, and it may not be quite as apparent for people not immersed in the industry like we are, but post-Christmas is usually quite dead. Certainly January and the beginning of February tend to be incredibly sparse for work. So you kind of have to go, right, I need to make my December as lucrative as possible to cover me for the months after that where I know the work is not going to be forthcoming.
Yeah, very, very. I mean, it's a good time of year because people want to be entertained. I mean, the immersive shows, the number of the immersive shows, that increases at this, because people are having parties, they're getting out and about. And I think I've noticed it even more so this year that, now that we are, not altogether back to normal, but people are going, I want my Christmas back. I want, I mean, last year I didn't have a panto for very obvious reasons, but I think I said I played Santa. I was one of Santa's doubles, as you very tactfully put it. But it was a great, it was, and then even that we were, we were put under lockdown again, so we had to stop that a week earlier than we thought we would have to. But I was very grateful to have, not only to have an income, but also to be able to get out and entertain. And the look of gratitude on people's faces last year was like, yes, my children get to meet Santa. They get to play with his elves. Thank heavens there's, a little bit of normality in the world. Yeah. But, and this year, I think people are going, I mean, we were certainly found it, heartwarming that people coming to the pumpkin carving going, great, there's an event on, we can get the children out. We can celebrate these holidays, these moments. So I think it's, not only is it, as you say, commercially advantageous to actors, but also, the audiences are there, and this has always been, traditionally busy pantomime season. But I think there are other things surrounding it now that has increased the availability of work for people, albeit over a short term.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that the West End becomes increasingly busy over this period because people have time off and because people want to enjoy the festive season, so they go out and do things more. So there are extra levels of ticket sales, and I suppose you could look at it, although it's not on a performance basis, but sales wise for tickets, I mean, people buying Christmas presents, it's going to go up. There will be lots of theatre tickets bought as gifts, so that's positive as well. And I think you can't sort of blanket it and you can't go, no, absolutely, it's the season of theatre. But I would say from experience, and feel free to correct me because you have far more experience than I, but I think you'll probably agree that it does feel a very theatrical time of year. But on a filming front, not so much. I think it's very off-season for being on long-term filming projects. Well, that's what I've experienced.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, quite simply because of the time of day. You have less daylight hours, and unless everything is, if you're shooting on locations, you're weather affected, you're daylight affected, and of course that affects how many hours you can shoot and what you can shoot and where. So I think you're right. I mean, a lot of production either goes inside and they do all the studio work, or certainly a lot of outside stuff just is not practical. No. I mean, if you're supposed to be shooting on a beach, I mean, even in this country, shooting on a beach in this country in June, July, August, you're okay. Anything after September, even then it's a bit dodgy.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We might find that one day of summer to
that's it. Yeah.
Fit it all in together.
Get it in. Yeah.
It's an interesting period as well, because from our perspective with the immersive shows, because we do a lot of those in hotels and hired venues, they tend to, I was going to say die a death, it's a horrible way of saying it, but they tend to ease off substantially over summer because those venues that we would normally perhaps be performing in will be inundated with weddings. And
Yeah.
again, from a business perspective, what is more lucrative for a venue? Well, probably a wedding with 300 odd guests at the bar who want to celebrate an event in quite a liquid form a lot of the time.
Well put, Sam.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably, everyone's at weddings getting pissed. But I think summer is a time where I find, particularly this year, I had a whole month on a film set, but I find a lot of filming work takes place over there because, number one, as you say, the weather is slightly more, and I say in this country, slightly more dependable. So you can go, right, we need to film a lot of outside stuff. So if we save it for June, July, where we know it might at least be dry, we're not going to guarantee nice, warm sunshine or whatever, but the chances of rain are perhaps slightly lower, or certainly it's not going to snow, you would think.
No,
so who knows?
no.
But I find it intriguing, and you can almost get into a regime or a routine and kind of go, right, well, I know this period of the year, particularly we know every year that we will probably do pantomime because it's lucrative, because it's a huge amount of fun. And I cannot stress that enough. It's not just about finance. I mean, that's a bonus, but I think panto is one of the most fun things you can do on stage as a performer in general. I just think it's so much fun, the freedom to enjoy and whatever. It's definitely one of my favorite things. My favorite.
I agree.
For multiple reasons. But then, there are other events throughout the year and things that happen. Like you said, we've obviously had October and Halloween. That's a massive one. Summer tends to be quite a lot of filming work. I'm trying to think of other examples, really.
Well, if you think, I think audiences change during the summer as well, because we get a lot of tourists.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So I'm thinking of our open air tours. They can only really happen during the summer. Although I have done one or two where the weather has been absolutely brilliant, but the best days of performance have been those where you're actually doing Shakespeare with an umbrella in your hand. That's been quite fun. But yeah, there are,
I see before me. Yes,
mate, honestly, it was a Shakespeare, and it was just blowing a gale, and we all just sort of turned up at the venue and went, it's sort of country house in the middle of somewhere, went, it's not going to happen today, is it? We got out the van and minimal set, it was just sort of a chair here, a stool there. I think we had a folding screen, which just ended up on the floor. That was, do without that. So we basically just turned up, and these beautiful costumes, and you stand there and go, yeah, honestly, no one's going to turn up, are they? No one's. And then the box office go, yeah, there's 200 people that, you go, what? They're here, they're queuing up. And you think, okay, you get in the costume. And we were playing Shakespeare with umbrellas above our heads, occasionally turning inside out. And the audience loved it. They were sat there with coats on and umbrellas and hats and Macintoshes, probably shivering for 2 hours in, the wind and the rain. But to get through it, it's like everything else. If you get through something, you think, yeah, we did that. And the audience give us a huge round of applause at the end, probably more to warm their hands up than anything else. But, we got a lovely video, and because they appreciated the fact that we'd done it. Then we had to go back into these changing rooms and go, okay, these have got to be dry before, tomorrow night's show,
Good luck with that.
But that was, dry. I'm literally standing there drying them with hair dryers to try and dry the costumes off. But like you say, you can't predict the British summer.
No.
But that was, there are more tourists around. People are traveling, and the open air, lots of concerts happen in the summer as well. You got Kenwood and Glyndebourne and places like that. But I was also thinking of Edinburgh Festival.
Oh, yes, of course,
yeah. The massive summer event every year, August. So that again is everybody is writing shows and aiming. Okay, we've got the Edinburgh Festival. It happens every year. It's it's predictable, like pantomime.
Yeah.
So people are writing their shows. They're preparing to take shows up to Edinburgh. So they're auditioning people. So that again, that affects the available work. And also on the flip side, for those not going to Edinburgh, the work that is left, that other productions, because Edinburgh happens, it's huge, but everything else carries on going at the same time. So
I guess you've got seasons as well with regards to theme parks and entertainment.
Yes.
So, and particularly, I mean, by talking about tourists, also you've got kids' holidays, school holidays, where you've got to have extra events for that. There are quite a few places now that will do a summer or even an Easter pantomime, or a show of similar kind of shape and form to a panto that happens quite a few in Easter. I've seen over the past few years, I've seen a few castings for Easter shows which run very much like a pantomime. So there are different periods where you can kind of go, right, well, I can't guarantee I'm going to be doing that, but I know the likelihood is that I'll be going this sort of route, or I'll be focusing on something like this. And then again, I think that there are shows that are specifically for a time of year. One that springs to mind, and I know it has run at all times of the year, but will be a hell of a lot more successful at Christmas time, is Nativity, the musical, which is a great fun show and a brilliant musical in its own right. But because it's about Christmas, it obviously runs better at that time of year. So I think first time I've seen it a couple of times. When I first saw it, I think it was New Year's Eve. I think was the first time I saw it. So it was running over that period. And I saw it again a couple of years later and reviewed it. And it's a fantastic show, but very, very seasonal. Doesn't mean it doesn't work at a different time of year, but to utilize and kind of hit that main point, it makes sense from a production point of view to go, right, when do people want to see a Christmas themed show? At Christmas.
I wonder, that's a really good point. I wonder if there are shows that work better at particular times of years in particular seasons. I mean, I can't imagine that, people are, I can imagine that comedy would do really well during the winter because people need cheering up a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. In the summer, your spirits are slightly higher, and you're on holiday, and you don't. Although the summer seasons, they're not as popular now, or not as abundant now. But there used to be the huge summer shows down and on the pavilions and piers. I mean, I've done a summer season, a weekly rep and things like that. That the play, you do a play in a week, but it would change midweek. So you could have people on holiday for a week could see the show on a Monday, and then you would change the show on a Wednesday, and they could see a different show on the Friday. Yeah. So you get two shows out of one audience. But again, I just wonder whether during the winter you think, we'll put a comedy on and cheer people up because it's dark and cold and rainy out there. Yeah. I just wonder whether that. I mean, I'm not a producer, so I don't know whether that goes through a producer's mind.
One of the few things you haven't jumped into yet.
No, well, that's the come. That's the come. Yeah. But I just wonder whether that might be a another thing of the thought in the producer's mind is like, okay, we'll put a good comedy on and cheer people up.
I guess you could also, and it's not off topic, but it's a little beyond where we normally look, but logistically as well. If you're looking at concerts and huge concerts like big singers and bands who perform in stadiums, you tend to going to have to avoid things like the football season because
that's true.
Trying to fit. I mean, I know they're not used everywhere. You have home games, away games. There are gaps and stuff, and particularly a venue like Wembley Stadium, for example, that tends to only host big games and international games, so perhaps the FA Cup final and the league playoffs and things like that, but they all tend to fall quite close together other than the international games. So Wembley probably has freedom for a few more events at lots of different times, but somewhere like, I don't know, Old Trafford, for example, Manchester United, who are playing throughout the season probably twice a week a lot of the time with European games and stuff. And yes, they have the odd away game, but the majority of the time there'll be at least one game there per week. And it's also used for other events as well, on top of that, other sporting things. I think you probably have to kind of go, right, well, when is the most likely time to be able to do that? If you're a huge name, you want to be able to do, I don't know, Friday and Saturday night, or run a couple of days. So you need to find that gap. So that will be a big player. And I guess on a similar theme, that theatres, receiving houses will go, right, well, we've got this production. They want to come in, and they said they want to come in around Christmas and do a week. However, we could put a panto in for 5 weeks and it'd be nonsensical not to. So there's going to be other constraints, looking at it from the other side, from the production side, from the financial side and the logistics side.
Yeah.
Perhaps, although we're going, well, it's the perfect time of the year for us because we get to perform that, but it has huge benefits to the industry in that respect as well.
I don't know about you as well, thinking about, like you say, planning around the year, and and budgeting financially, saying, well, I, like you say, I'll make money, there's a nice block of work, sort of, Halloween, Christmas, then it goes quiet. You and I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't get to go on holiday a lot, and I'm not bleating.
You're looking
no,
for.
no, I'm not bleating because I get loads and loads of work. But I mean, you do go, okay, the summer's going to be busy, the winter's going to be busy, and then there's that sort of into the spring when it might be a little quiet. You think, okay, I might be able to go, have a little holiday. I'm not someone that demands to go on holiday and says, if I don't have a holiday here, I'm miserable, because when I'm working, I'm traveling a lot anyway. And the joy of working is the looking for work is the hard part. The doing the work is the holiday. Yeah. But I know I've booked holidays in the past and gone, no, can't go. Jobs come up, and you think. So I have any holidays I've taken, and I'm thinking of getting one in the new year. But it's been New Year's, sort of January, February time, because there's a little bit of a lull, and you've got a little bit of cash in your pocket because you've just done panto. So you think, that's a good time.
There are, and it fits in, and you have to kind of run your life around the thought that actually, as much as I'd love to do something else at this point, this makes the most sense. And we are hugely lucky that we are in a vocation that we absolutely adore. And as you say, doing the work, it's like a holiday in itself, because you are being paid to do, I was going to say a hobby. It's not a hobby, it's a job, but to do a passion, that's a better way of living.
Yeah, that's a good way.
So you can't sort of piss and moan and go, oh, well, I've got to work, so I can't go on holiday, because it's a job that we've chosen, and it's absolutely down to us. And we could have gone the other route and gone 9 to 5 in an office and gone, well, I get 28 days annual leave or whatever it is. I'll take a week here and there. But would you be happy? I know I wouldn't. Those couple of weeks here and there wouldn't make the slightest bit of like difference when I compare it to how much I enjoy my job now.
Yeah, I couldn't say, I couldn't comment on that. I mean, I enjoy the variety of work that I do. I enjoy I almost enjoy the unpredictability as well. The
one thing we moan about most is what you.
The one thing we moan about most is quite kind of, it's like, I don't jump out of aeroplanes, and I don't rock climb or anything like that. But sometimes not knowing where the next job is coming from is equally as shall we say, that gets the adrenaline flowing as well.
Yeah.
But when it comes, it's great, as we know. I just think it's really interesting to, having sort of discussed that and gone, that I didn't realize how much the time of year really does affect what we do and how we take advantage of that. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. And have to say that it's, as I said, Christmas period is almost always busy. And then you do have that lull. But and check this out for a segue, Drew. This one's just pinged into it. I thought, this year I'm quite lucky, because not only do I have Pantomime, which finishes early January, but I kick straight into January with a brand new musical. So my January is not quiet like it would be most years. So I am lucky enough to be part of the cast for The Truth Stops Here, brand new musical, which is, as we've alluded to, at the Esher Theatre on the 6th, 7th and 8th of January. So if you are free, would like to come down, please do come and see the show. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, blowing everyone's trumpet that's involved. It's a stunning show. It's really, really great.
It is great.
But the reason I bring it up is because we did have on last week Anthony Merriweather and Emma Woodhouse, who are two of the three main creatives from the show. And they have very, very generously given us 4 tickets to give away to the musical. And we explained the rules of the competition last week, and it's being drawn, or the winner is going to be drawn in a couple of weeks' time. But I thought, why should we not promote it a bit more, Drew? Because we want as many people to have this opportunity to win these incredible tickets as possible.
Absolutely.
So, just to remind everyone at home, if you haven't already entered, you absolutely should, because it's a brilliant prize for a brilliant show. And Drew, sorry to say, but you cannot enter, mate. I know you're keen to, but we can't allow it. Sorry.
I shall be there anyway, Sam. I'll be there anyway.
That's amazing. But for anyone listening or watching us who would like to enter the competition, it's super simple. Just make sure that you are following us on Instagram at Drewling Samantics. Follow The Truth Stops Here, or at The Truth Stops Here on Instagram as well. And then go on to our Instagram page, the Drewling Samantics Instagram page, and find the image from last Sunday's episode, which is a picture of Drew and I, and then the lovely Emma and the lovely Anthony, and just give that picture a like as well. And that's all you have to do. Once you've done those 3 simple things, you are automatically entered into the draw, which is happening in 2 weeks' time, I think, Drew.
2 weeks' time. Yes. Please
do get involved.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, mate, speaking of guests, we've got another wonderful guest coming up next week, haven't we?
I was about to say, there's another segue from that.
From a segue.
A segue from a segue, yes, from Anthony and Emma.
Segception in segue. Yeah, I'm talking rubbish now. Carry on.
Well, yeah, take a drink, mate. Take a drink. Yeah, we have a lovely, lovely guest coming up from another branch, and another unsung branch of the industry, I think, but without which, let's put it, none of us would look any good.
No. Yeah. The saviors of the industry, without a shadow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Both you and I have heavily depended on these people in the past. And I'm hugely excited to speak to her. I think it's going to be a great show.
I think she's really good. Great stuff. Yeah.
But,
so in the meantime, what are you going to be doing, my friend?
Well, so I've got a slightly quieter week coming up, having just had a mental week of many shows and other bits. I've got an interesting one. I've got a what do you call it? Like a networking event for models and photographers, because I'm branching out into other areas of modeling. I'm not the youthful, young, clean cut and whatever I was a few years back, many years back, some would say. So my modeling career has gone in a slightly different direction. I don't do as much modeling as I once did. I tend to spend most of my time on stage, as you know, but I do still dabble in the modeling world now and then. And there's an amazing event coming up that I'm going to just meet some other photographers and some other brands who are looking to make connections with models. And yeah, so I'm quite excited for that. I think it'll be a good opportunity even to meet some people and make some good business connections. So an interesting one there. And then the rest of my week is just reading pantomime scripts, preparing for musicals, and getting ready for our amazing guest. But I imagine you've got a bit more on than I. Is that right?
I've got a little bit of a busier week next week. Yeah, we'll be shooting the short film Stranger Danger, and I've also just received a little confirmation video that every year I record for listening books, the charity listening books. I record their book list, which gets sent out to their listeners, their listening readers. So I record the list of all the new titles available for people to listen to. So I shall be recording that catalogue as well next week, which is something I really enjoy doing, because my wonderful late mother-in-law was visually impaired, and she used their services a lot. Brilliant. So it's something that I think, that's a really good thing to do. And also, it's very, very, very good practice if I haven't done a little bit of voiceover work for a while to get out and just exercise. Because there are about 40 titles, and each little blurb, the description of the book, I try to characterize and give it a voice or an accent or something to make it just a little bit more interesting to listen to. So that's good voiceover practice as well. So I'll be recording that next week. Amazing. And of course, chatting to your lovely self.
Well, yes. I mean, we are joined by someone considerably lovelier than both of us in this coming week.
Oh, absolutely. Totally.
But we'll still be there to brighten everyone's day a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, but massively looking forward to it, mate. And other than that, just have a great week. It'll be lovely to see you and lovely to see our special guest next time. So everyone at home, make sure you join us.
Take care, everyone. Cheers.
Ta-da. Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends, and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.